I just remember we ended up at a gas station.
First we went to a bar.
First we went to a bar.
With our costumes on, and no one was super judgy of us there.
They were super like high end, like super what is it like?
It's very like uptown.
Yeah, but like yuppie-ish, right? Kind of yuppie-ish. They looked at us. Disdain was shooting out of their eyes like daggers.
I was in my pink wig. I'm like, are you guys surfing right now?
They're like, not you. So we walked away. We're just wandering New Orleans like to
in an unsafe hour.
Yeah, in an unsafe area.
Yeah.
We ended up at a gas station, and I remember the thing that was the most thrilling was that they had hot nachos. They had nachos with hot cheese sauce. And I remember the ecstatic kind of like thing of like, who is that?
It was actually a locked gas station. That's how bad it was. They had to
I mean, we had to negotiate. We had to negotiate to get in. So let that be a lesson to you. Make sure that wherever you're going to go for Halloween or for any holiday, but especially on Halloween, make sure you check that everybody's going to be wearing costumes, because those moments that are like in movies where you show up and you're like,
has anyone seen, I'm getting my nails done, and they show, the only time I watch TV is when I get my nails done.
Yeah.
Because they show these cheesy movies, and I've seen this movie 1,000 times in my previous life, but it's with Elle Woods.
Life?
No, just I used to watch a ton of movies and stuff. The one where she goes to Harvard Law School, Elle Woods.
Okay.
And they tell her it's a costume party. I forget what it's called. Now, it's like so obvious, everyone's gonna be like, duh. But they tell her it's a costume party, so she dresses up like a slutty, like, Playboy bunny.
Right.
And she gets there and no one's in costume.
Oh.
What's the movie?
And she went slutty Playboy bunny.
Yeah.
That's such an easy move.
Yeah, Legally Blonde.
Okay. Yeah.
It is an easy move, but it's always fun.
Yeah.
That's really what Halloween's about. I've done some pretty, like, cool costumes.
Yeah, I think the Nola Fallen Angel one.
That was the coolest one.
Yeah, that one scared people.
That was, you were terrifying. Didn't we have a prong collar on me? Turned around?
No, a belt that was cinched.
Oh, I thought we had a prong collar.
No, I might have had a spike something. But all I know is that when you scare people in New Orleans on Halloween night,
it's bad.
You're doing something right.
Yeah.
So we just like improvised a bunch of BS Halloween stuff that nobody cares about in Dogland.
That's all right.
But you know what I will say? Some folks climb Mount Everest. Other folks roam around New Orleans at 2 in the morning in costumes that make them stand out, searching for food and being willing to risk their lives in order to get that. And I still look back on that night and I go, whew, that was one of those like, that might have been one of those dangerous ones.
Okay.
Anyways, so we don't have a lot to talk about. Well, we do have a lot to talk about, but as far as like about our new stuff. So I don't know if you want to get into an update, if you want to do giveaways, if you or if you want to just jump into the show and then like maybe we'll shake it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Shake it up.
Let's shake it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Hey everybody, it's Chum from The Good Dog, and to my right is the lovely, talented, and she's got the same
blue
M4.
nails.
Yeah, same blue nail.
Yep.
I'm a little disappointed. Sorry. I
can't change them every week.
I thought you did.
Unless The Good Dog wants to pay for it.
Oh, yeah. We'll negotiate. We'll negotiate. We'll check out our contracts. This is the lovely Laura Morgan. However she's dressed or nailed or put together, we'll take her. So, Q&A Saturday, I will add this. Q&A Saturday has been doing really well. Numbers are going up. We're starting to get a fairly decent amount of people viewing it much more quickly than in the past, which is pretty darn cool. So we're getting some nice traction, which means that we're not just full of BS, which I'm very proud of. Knock it off. We've got a little dog over there and we don't have an e-collar on it. It's not our dog, it's somebody else's that will remain unnamed. Henri. Anyways, All this stuff that you can't see, including the whiny dog off screen, is the Good Dogs Q&A Saturday, episode number 86.
Which one do I do? Oh, wow.
Well, I'm taking control of this. I've had enough. Had enough of being beaten down and pushed around, undermined, disenfranchised.
86.
Okay, 86.
Nice.
Let's jump in with Gary, number 1.
Okay, question number 1.
Yeah.
Comes from Gary.
It does.
Gary says, I have a 4-month-old GSD and he is constantly going after our 1.5-year-old GSD with the nipping. She corrects in the same way a mother would. Is the best way to correct this to move him away with the command of stop?
In the name of love?
Stop in the name of love before
There's a lot of chaos going on out here.
My dog. Stop in the
I like that.
Thank you.
It's a great song. Maybe if Gary sings that, maybe his dogs will both flee and stop fighting. Okay.
You can just play that clip and both
Right?
of them will be
The
like,
dogs
I'm
are
sorry,
like,
we'll never do it again.
Okay. So Gary, a couple solutions, right? So like the simplest solution, if you want to go like low pro, I'm not sure if you're doing e-collar work with your dog or not. If you're not, like a dressage whip, which sounds like really brutal and sounds like really old school and like not great, but a dressage whip works so good for socialization stuff that most like balance trainers are using them for all sorts of different socialization to be able to create distance, space, give communication, corrections, things like that. You can get a dressage whip off like Tracker Supply, Cracker Supply even. You can get them all over the place. You can get them off Amazon and like hunting spots or hunting spots, well, maybe something like that. But basically you can, I'm sorry, like equestrian stuff. You can get a dressage whip.
I'm sure like any hunt, like anything where there's like sporting good, or you can just grab them off Amazon.
Yeah, and they're not very expensive, but so you get this little kind of like, it's not like a, what's the,
Not like
short
a big
one.
whip.
No, what's
Oh,
the
it's not a crop.
It's not a crop.
Riding
It's a
crop,
dressage whip, a little bit of like kind of firm and then a little bit of a drop at the end. And I'm telling you, it can work wonders for cultivating better behavior with dogs that are starting to be like snippy, pushy, bratty, a little bit of, bless you, just a little bit of kind of snotty stuff and a quick little whoop, wrap on the rump, and a lot of dogs will just be like, whoa, I got it. And so that's the first and easiest, simplest, cheapest, if you don't have e-collar or anything else going on, right? So if you don't have e-collar, go with the dressage. If you do have e-collar on, I can't remember because we've talked so many times, but I can't remember if you're doing e-collar. But if you are doing e-collar, then e-collar is really great because it's really simple, and then you can just work at low levels. And anytime you see your dog engaging in any behavior that looks like snotty stuff, hand over the shoulder or paw over the shoulder because they don't have hands, neck over the shoulder or head over the shoulder or muzzle over the shoulder. Right? Anything that her dog does, but he means no harm. But anything that looks like inappropriate behavior that's leading to snotty stuff, you can give a little tap, not a mind-blowing tap, nothing that's gonna like, but enough that's gonna be like, hey, and your dog goes, oh right, every time I do this, it's a little uncomfortable, let me make a better choice. So dressage whip, if you don't have the e-collar, nice and reasonably priced and easy to implement. E-collar, if you've already got your dog e-collar trained to some degree, and beyond that you could do like, prong collar stuff, but that gets pretty hard to do. So I would say the first two are much better recommendations, and then beyond that you also, as you know, you've heard me talk about so many times, you got to advocate for your dog. So your 1.5-year-old should not be at the mercy of this little snippy little guy, and that means that you've got to step in and make sure, because grudges can start early, man. You can have like even puppies getting puppy passes, right? When they're early, when they're young, and then as they get older, the other dog's like, man, you've been a real jackass to me for like 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and you know what? We're done with that. And now I bite. Now I do this. Now I correct. So make sure you're advocating. Make sure that you're setting both dogs up for success. The clearest, easiest, most simple way to look at this is that you run the show, you create the rules, and any behavior you don't like, you address and you get it done. And then the dog that's older feels comfortable, and the dog that's younger realizes how he should behave, and they both move forward in a positive direction. And then use those tools to make that happen.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. Thanks, Gary.
Nice, quick answer.
Damn,
Rocking it
come
out.
on, man. Come on. We had some good candy today, right? No, we did. Wow. We had some good sweet and sour. Who got you sweet and sour candy?
Did.
Yeah,
You did.
right?
Bring me sweet and sour
To hopefully kind of pep you up and make you feel a little bit better
Get
about the
ready
day,
for
because I know
the show.
you haven't been feeling good. So, so that's great. I had a brownie. I had tear and share M&Ms, and there was unfortunately no one there to share them with, except for myself.
Yeah.
And then I had some of your sweet and sour candy, and there were some mochis that might have like also
You're mumbling.
fallen down.
No one's gonna hear.
I know. I'm kind of trying to. I'm like trying to go under the radar with it. So they were like, "What do you say?"
Question number 2.
Mochi. Okay, this one's on you.
Question number 2 comes from Erin.
Yes.
Erin says, I have a 2.5-year-old GSD with a couple quirks. She has made improvement in leaps and bounds.
GSD with a couple quirks.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll drink to that.
She's made improvement in leaps and bounds with her on-leash reactivity to other dogs in the past year since I adopted her.
Mm-hmm.
She's gone from barking and hackles up at other dogs as soon as she saw them to the occasional low growl when a particularly rude dog and owner ignores my attempts to keep distance between us and they get in my dog's face.
Mm-hmm.
My main concern at this point is her anxious vocalization when we go anywhere new. She's an insecure girl at heart, and when we arrive somewhere like a park, festival, hiking trail, the first 10 minutes consist of her whining, the classic GSD whine, panting, and generally acting anxious. Wow, I've never heard of a GSD doing this.
No, me either.
That's just weird.
I wear earplugs every time I walk one of them. That's why I've never heard
They're
it.
so calm when they get to new places. It's so weird.
Just lay down, relax.
I walk her on a prong, we're kidding, and she's generally well trained, so she does stay next to me in a heel position and her behavior is otherwise obedient. I've tried correcting her for it, but it tends to either increase the volume of the whine or she'll stop for a second and pick up again at a low pitch and build her way back up.
Yeah.
It's almost like she can't help herself, and this has become her coping mechanism since she's insecure and anxious in new places. I started to wait a few minutes to see if settling down before getting her out on leash improves it. Usually she'll whine in the car and never truly settles. Then when I get her out, she'll resume her whining routine. Is there something I should be doing or not doing that will help her out? Thanks in advance for any advice you can give me. Erin, okay. No, you look great.
What's that? Oh, no, that's just something to talk about.
You do not need to talk about that because it's not true. Okay, Erin, am I answering this one?
This is, you see that? Laura.
Okay.
Laura.
So.
And you're the GSD specialist.
I love GSD.
I mean, you could engage in the Laura lockdown. You could engage in the polar bear anti-horse techniques.
Right.
And there's a lot of patented maneuvers that you could get into.
So this is a challenging one because GSDs generally can do this, and even my Cujo, who's not a GSD.
My Cujo. Also known as her dog Cujo.
My dog Cujo. You know, we arrive someplace new like
there
the park.
is power in the choice of those words. Go.
Dog. So if we arrive someplace new, like the park, where he gets to run and romp and do his thing, he gets a little like sort of thing. Now, the difference is between you and I is that I have Cujo on an e-collar.
Yep.
So I'm a big fan of e-collars, especially for these working breeds. I'm a big fan of e-collars in general.
Yep.
But for these guys, so the prong collars, I love prong collars. We love prong collars. The thing about a prong collar, though, is that constricting motion can sometimes amp a dog up. And so we tend to use them less and less in our training. We use it for the first 3 days of training when we're just teaching the dog basic commands.
With very low pressure on the prong.
Low pressure on the prong. You know, it's something that we do, and then we layer e-collar on top of it.
And real quick, and we also do e-collar heel using the prong.
Yeah.
But once again, that pressure with the prong is so minimal and so light, it's just guidance.
Yeah, so we're using that light, low-level pressure on the remote once we're layering it, but we've already done the light pressure on the prong. We're just not doing a lot of like correcting. We're not doing a lot of like giving clients telling them to correct their dogs with prong, just because there's a little bit of a kind of art to it, like trainers that use prongs primarily look really good when they're using prongs, and they tend to be able to correct really well for that. We have found owners not knowing really where to fall in with that, so we use less prong, we use more remote collar. And for the best thing about a remote collar for me in situations like this is it actually de-escalates the dog. So as opposed to the prong, like, you know, you might be correcting with a prong pop or something like that, as opposed to that, you're actually just tapping on the button. It could be like with Cujo when he whines, literally, I tap it at 5 and he's done with it. A 5.
That
like,
low.
Yeah, and the 5 is like 0 for him. But it's just literally like a tap on the shoulder, like stop. It'd be like if your friend is like, or getting anxious about something, you're like, hey, just knock it off. That's kind of what the whole thing is. It's not this high level, it's not this thing, it's just a tap on the shoulder. That doesn't mean that if you e-collar condition your dog, that you'll just need that really low level. But what I find is that anxiety stuff, finding like a lower level as sort of like a reminder works really well. So what I would do with your GSD is remote collar train. So, and even if you don't want to do a full program, you can do these videos up here, but even if you don't want to do a full program, you can just do like recall. You know, if you're taking your dog to like a park or a beach anyway, and you're kind of going through that sort of thing, then you might as well have them on a remote collar and kind of be able to get them back whenever you want and not worry about them like off leash. So
creates great relationship stuff too.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that way, if you just teach recall, you know, follow our videos. You want to teach the sensation of the e-collar and teach it fairly to begin with before you get into any correcting for the anxiety or any behaviors like that. So you teach that recall or teach a place command or heel or whatever you want to do, and then you just have the collar on in the car when you're driving to the place. When you stop and park, instead of just saying no or trying to correct with the prong, it's just a little tap on the e-collar. And that's exactly what I did. And like I said, Cujo is one of those dogs that, like, if he's running after a dog, I can be at like 100 on my collar and he doesn't care about it at all because he's just got a strong drive. He's one of those guys. But a 5 on the tap on the remote just for that light anxiety stuff stops him completely. So that's what I would suggest. I think it's a tough one with, like, you know, it's a tough one with everything with the prong collar and having to do things like that for any sort of corrections. So, and then the lo-fi way would be to get a pet convincer. So you can get a pet convincer and you just use the pet convincer to shut that stuff down.
Yeah, and then I was just going to add that, like, so Laura just mentioned just doing like some basics with recall, but like if you did incorporate some place command and some down, like some really nice stuff like what I wrote, just as far as kind of like some additions to your expertise would be like duration work and calming exercises. Anything that teaches your dog how to shut off, how to relax, how to decompress, especially on command, and get them patterned and conditioned to do that, will help you have that state of mind, be able to transfer that state of mind into different contexts. So every dog that comes in here, like 9 out of 10 dogs that come in here are doing the same thing that your dog's doing, and we give them the same program of like non-negotiable rules, non-negotiable structure, be in place, be in down, don't move, do it for an hour, and the dog learns to just decompress and relax no matter what's going on. It helps with that whining, it helps with that worked up, keyed up kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll be the full change and the whole kit and caboodle, but I would say it's probably a good additional piece to your puzzle, right? So, but it involves a little bit more work doing place command and down on the e-collar. But if you want a little more magic, you got to put in the work.
I think you'd have fun with that anyway.
I mean, it's a GSD, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that dog's like, give me something to do.
Get me ready.
Give me something to do. Okay,
cool. All right,
cool.
Thanks. Question number 3.
Do you want to tell everybody that we saw CC the other day?
I'll put in the footage. Oh, there's a fly. I'll put in the footage.
Where's our gun? Where's our fly gun?
Here, wait. Here's the footage.
This guy. Reunited.
Yes.
Reunited.
Yes.
Say hi.
Hello, everybody. CC love you, and you love CC too. Please do that. please. See you later.
CC. We snuck in for a little dinner and a little business meeting.
Yep.
And who showed up? But the whole crew, they hadn't seen us in a long time.
It was so
They're
fun.
all pretty excited to see us.
Well, I've ordered a couple times. So I ordered straight to my apartment, and they get so confused. They're like, "What happened? Where's Sean?" I'm like, "Oh, this is my apartment." They're like, "But where's Sean?" So
He's in the attic.
I had to tell them. I was like, He's in New Orleans. They're like, oh, okay, it makes sense.
Right. They can finally put the pieces together. Yeah. So good to see. I can barely say that. Good to see CC. Yeah. Accuse me. Accuse me. Yeah. And everybody else there, because they're always so good to us. And the food is freaking. I'm telling you guys. Any of you cats living in LA, and I do say cats. Any of you cats living in LA that are like anywhere in the like Studio City area, do yourself a favor and get over to Bollywood. Tell them Sean and Laura sent you. They'll set you up.
It's in Studio City,
on
right?
Ventura Boulevard. And I'm telling you, we've had so many Indian food places.
I've gone to every Indian food place, but we've probably gone. Well, not.
You're exaggerating, but we've been to a lot. We've been to a lot.
But this place is
even out here, and we found
Yeah.
something. Did you say thebomb.com?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to start cutting down on your like popular sayings.
That's like from the 90s.
Is it? Okay, well that makes it even worse. So, anyways, let's move on.
Okay.
Indian food was awesome, and seeing them was great.
Okay, question number 3. I hate that flag.
Accuse me. There you go. Oh, he's coming after you.
Okay.
For anybody who doesn't know, we got sent a salt gun.
A salt flag.
I don't mean,
shooter.
hang on a second, I don't mean assault gun.
No.
Right? Let me clarify. Assault gun doesn't mean like rifles, like, he's back. Assault gun meaning SALT for shooting flies from our last shadow student who is here, Ashley. Next question, that's on you.
Question number 3, this comes from Jake.
Yeah. Do you mind if I tickle you a little bit? Okay, just checking.
Jake says, here's a doozy for you.
Oh, God.
I'm fostering a 10-year-old Chihuahua Min Pin mix. Ooh. He has the worst case of crate separation anxiety I've ever seen. Overall, he's a very sweet and social guy, very laid back. But when he gets in his crate and the door closes, he slowly starts to become very anxious, chew his way out, and he chewed a hole in my wall from inside the crate.
Good grief.
He escaped the crate once and chewed a couple more holes in the wall next to the door to get outside. Wow. He was also on fluoxetine when he came to me, which is a anti-anxiety, I think.
Yep.
Other foster parents couldn't take care of him anymore, but I weaned him off of that because it wasn't working. I don't like to give the dogs drugs for behavioral stuff anyway. With that said, he's fully e-collar trained. He knows place, down, sit, recall, all the good stuff. So when I hear him wrestling at night, I can remind him to lay down, and he gets the point. Not a high-level correction, just a low-level reminder with e-collar. When I'm able to address his anxiety right away, he does okay. So in that aspect, he's getting better. When I leave, however, he's just as bad as he's ever been, since I can't address it, and it just escalates. He doesn't bark, just tries to get out.
It doesn't bark, just tries to get out.
Yeah,
okay.
just tries to get out.
I think that, what is it, fluoxetine?
Fluoxetine.
Fluoxetine? Yeah. I think the real secret here is that it's meant for the humans, not for the dogs.
Right.
So
during the outbursts.
If you have really challenging dogs, it's best that you take their medication and just let them go cold turkey so you can deal with it. Obviously, I'm not telling you the truth there. So Jake, and Jake's a trainer. So a little bit of a challenging one, right?
Yeah.
We got 10-year-old Chihuahua Min Pin mix. Bad separation anxiety. So Min Pins, right, are known. We've got one in the family here. Min Pins are known for like tenacious, like drivey, pushy. No one can stop me. I'm tiny, but like I'm carrying like some serious gusto. And of course, Chihuahuas, everybody knows, are kind of in the same boat, right? So here's what we do whenever we have separation anxiety dogs that come in. So we do our basic foundation. We do all the same stuff, like, and now it always sounds like a broken record, but we do the crate exercise, we do thresholds, all of those moments of creating impulse control, but also handler respect, right? Like, we put a dog in the crate and then we open the crate door. And I know you're saying he's a gentleman. I'm just putting it out there in case you haven't done it the exact same way. let the dog try and come out, dog tries to come out, crate door slams, nice and sharp, dog goes, whoa, I've got to actually think about what's going on. I can't just listen to my impulse and run out. Same thing goes for thresholds, same thing goes for heel. You put those all together and you start to create some leverage that can be really fantastic as far as like relaxing the state of mind. It's not just about correcting, guys. Everybody gets caught up in that. Like, especially like sudden, more startling bursts of corrective energy tend to not only have an impact psychologically of like, whoa, I shouldn't be doing that, but they have a real de-escalating quality. Yeah. They really take a lot of gas out of the tank, out of dogs that are revved up, the arousal stuff, and bring them down. Because the arousal is what gets most dogs into trouble, whether it's on the walks or it's in the crate or thresholds or something like that. So first of all, I would do foundation work. Sounds like you've done a bunch of stuff.
Done it already.
I just want to put that out there for you or for anybody else that might be struggling and hasn't done that work. Now you say you've done like low level corrections if he's rustling in the crate, rustling up some dinner, and rustling up some walls and destruction and things like that. So here's what we do. Any dog that's got separation anxiety, we've got a camera, we've got a drop cam, and we watch the dog very carefully. We've got an e-collar on him, and honestly, I won't go with like, and I know this can be controversial because a lot of people say, well, you got to go low, 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 and like pulse it, and I'll mess around and I'll tweak with stuff, and like obviously I'll start low, and if a dog responds really low, I mean, I always start low. If the dog's going to be responsive at 5, 6, 7, perfect. But a lot of these guys that are more like Tenacious D, they've got more like drivey stuff going on, that low stuff's not going to do it. That low stuff, maybe rustling at night is helping him come down, but what you said is that when you leave the house, you're getting the same explosive stuff. So what you need to do is set up leaving the house, and then you need to have a consequence for that. You need to have a consequence that cuts off the beginning of that sequence escalation at the pass, right? Here's explosion, here's the beginning of the sequence, here's you watching your camera, here's where you cut in, here's where you correct significantly, here's where you cap it and bring it down, right? So you set up so your dog thinks you're taking off, you've got a drop cam or baby cam or whatever, FaceTime, you've got the e-collar on your dog, you've already worked through low stuff, you've already done foundation, and you know that the dog is most likely going to amp up and flip out once you take off and he knows that you're gone. You go out, you're in your car, in the front yard, whatever it is, looking through a window, whatever you do, and the moment that you see this dog start to try and break out, because we see this all the time, the moment, he doesn't even have to bark, he doesn't have to howl, doesn't have to do anything, the moment he's like the Escape from Alcatraz thing is on, you correct at a very high level, right? And sometimes that level is all the way up, sometimes that level is 40, sometimes that level is 60, and it's going to really depend on the dog. Sometimes that level is 15. It really depends, but I want you to think of hotter rather than lesser. And with some of these guys, holding for a second or two, which might sound like, wow, that's really unfair. What you're trying to do is you're trying not to beat up on the dog. You're trying to create future inhibitions about that choice, which is going to get that dog in trouble, break teeth, get him to break out, get him lost, get him hurt, get him killed, something like that, get him rehomed, whatever it's going to be. I would much rather a dog experience some discomfort as he learns a different way to cope with the crate. And the only reason I can say this is because 9 out of 10 dogs that come to us have separation anxiety of some form or another, and within a few days, they don't. Within a few days, this crate thing that they were so worried about, they're jamming in and they're jamming out. And the whole thing about like, well, if you correct in the crate at a high level, you'll create a negative association and the dog won't want to go in. I can't figure out why they always just romp right in. 3, 4 days in, they're just like, you open the crate, they're like, diggy, diggy, diggy. And they come right up,
just
diggy, diggy,
breaking
diggy.
those habits, because sometimes just dogs just get stuck, you know? A lot of dogs just get stuck. A lot of dogs that come into us, they're not bad dogs. They're not like aggressive, or they're not truly. They're just anxiety ridden and stuck in bad habits.
Think about like flying on a plane. Like if you've flown on a plane and you've had enough like anxiety reinforced. Even if the plane's not done anything, you get on a plane and you're expecting like the worst.
And nothing's
right?
ever happened on the plane.
Right, and it doesn't matter like if they have a smooth sailing flight, you're still your psychological state is still escalating because the anxiety and the fear is all going boom, and you're all worried. So if there was somebody kind enough on the plane to be able to give you some kind of a like boom block and get you out of it, he might actually be able to save you from some of that. But anyways, so that's that. The last thing before, I'm probably running out of time, right?
Yes.
Okay, do I have any time or am I out?
You have a minute.
I have a minute, cool. And then the other things that I would do would be, you can do some, this is pretty typical and you've probably done this as well, but this is like crate with the door open, downstay, walk away, walk outside, things like that. Experiment, have fun with it. Teach the dog that the crate door open, shut doesn't mean anything different. You still have to stay in that downstay. I know you said you can correct and your dog will go back into the downstay. Try it with the door open, mess around, have some creative kind of fun with it. And also something that I feel super important about, and I touched upon earlier, is that foundational thing is that look for 100% compliance in every moment, not just in the crate, but on the walk, in the sit, in the down, in the place. What's the dog's state of mind? What's the attitude? What's he offering you? Make sure you're getting the absolute best of that dog so you have leverage when the dog is in the crate, that he's so used to behaving well and being respectful and being courteous and being polite and doing his best work, that you've got a real fighting shot. And then lastly, to close it out, just remember the most simple part of this is that set up the big stuff where he's going to give you the explosion, have it on camera, and correct firmly for that the second you see him go and try and bite those wires. And you better make sure that level's high enough that your dog cares and doesn't get lifted off. You want to cap it and bring it back down. And that can be challenging for a lot of people, but that's what we do all the time.
All right.
And the dog won't hate the crate, trust me.
Good luck.
All right?
Let us know.
Yeah, keep us posted.
All right.
It was all that sweet and sour candy.
No.
Got us all perked up.
All the others.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah?
I had my cappuccino today.
4 shots?
No.
3?
Yes.
Oh, he's gonna live.
I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live to see 100 Q&As.
Sean had a full withdrawal, like caffeine withdrawal. I know all of you out there.
Second one I've had.
Yeah, like a bad chills, fever, the whole thing because he didn't have a
The worst headache I've had in my world, not in my world, in my life, and I've had some headaches that have been doozies, but I almost went to the emergency room because, and who's the guy that's watched this before?
I forget, but someone here is a paramedic and
he's been on me about changing it, so I have been changing it, but I had 2 days where I missed my caps, and all of a sudden I started getting a headache that was unbelievable. Yep. I couldn't drive, I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do really anything, and I got chilled, felt like I had a fever, couldn't stay warm. I really thought, there were moments, and they call me a wimp, but there's moments anytime you're in that where you're like,
I might die.
Yeah, this might be it.
Or it might be better to die.
Or if you can just get me to Starbucks, I'll be okay. And so luckily Shelby here had a couple double shots.
Yes.
I shot those. She picked me up some Advil. And within 3 hours of literally almost crying myself to sleep,
this is what we call
I was better.
A correction, a high-level correction.
127.
Poor behavior.
Yep.
So Sean got that. So now what is he doing?
Changing his behavior.
Oh my gosh, how weird.
Dog training. I don't want to ever experience that again.
And that doesn't mean that we're just saying high-level corrections on the haters out there. We're saying that if it's a 5,
there's no haters watching this. This is just a love fest.
People sometimes do. There's a dog, Malu, in here who works on a 2, and a 5, which I can't feel, is enough for her to be okay, I'm cool.
Yeah.
There's dogs out there, so whatever it is for your dog or your human.
I needed a 127. I was one of those stubborn dogs.
It doesn't matter how many times
but the fascinating thing is I don't feel anything from the caffeine.
Yeah.
I don't get a rush.
Exactly.
I don't get this whoa, I'm all jazzed up.
Exactly.
Did I talk too long for the camera?
No, that's just That's just like a heroin addict being like, I don't really feel the heroin. It just makes me normal. And then you're like, wait, no.
This is terrible. This is terrible. Anyways, so I've cut from 6 to 3. Cut it in half.
Didn't you slowly? You did like 4 for a couple days?
I did 4. Yeah, I didn't even go to 5. I went to 4, and then I went down to 3. And 3 is delightful.
Yeah.
And I'm doing really well with it. I'm feeling good. And but I thought I was gonna freaking die.
Yes.
And I swear to God, like the girls here, I think they were scared. I'd come out of the room. I was holding my head and covering my eyes, and I was like, I need help. It was terrible. So who knew that coffee could be so dastardly?
We all did, and we told you. Okay. Question number 4.
If we had a hashtag, slow learner.
Question number 4. Hashtag number 4.
You like that one?
Okay, Laura, I got it. So Michelle's asking a question. She was trying to figure this out. So I would like to crate train our dog. It's a 1.5-year-old GSD Husky, but our current living arrangement is too small, which is 400 square feet, and it isn't doable until we get into our new place in late fall, early winter. Okay. I food and prong train every morning on our half-hour walk, and now the e-collar seems to be helping. I'm working on the e-collar heel to help with the reactivity as well. This structured training walk seems to take a lot out of him, but he'll sometimes still chew things in the apartment, include getting into the garbage while we're at work. Until we can crate train, how can we stop him doing this? Is it possible? He also gets other walks during the day, but the training's just in the morning. Okay. Michelle. Starting the timer. Okay, so yeah, the 400 square feet should be far from a reason not to crate train your dog. It should be the reason to crate train your dog. You have a small space, that means more access to like more stuff. There's less like, some people, are like, well, I didn't crate train him, but we have, a big giant house and I just keep them in the laundry room or something like that. I assume, your small apartment sounds like my apartment. So it's a smaller space and it's probably the size of some people's laundry rooms. So, but that's exactly why you should be crate training your dog who's being destructive. Because guys, crate training isn't just about like, oh no, he ate the couch. It's about, oh no, he died when he ate this plastic bag. And I'm not trying to be like,
no,
but it's
obstructions and bags and all that stuff kill dogs all the time.
Dogs that die, dogs that get into things they shouldn't get into.
Yep.
I mean, crate training is so much more than just like structure stuff. We suggest it. I feel weird when my dogs aren't crated when I'm not there.
It's also so good for them to just have downtime.
Yeah,
like people think dogs are going to be so sad if they're put in their crate. Instead, they relax, decompress, and they're better when you come back to get them.
There's really literally no reason why your dog shouldn't be fully crate trained, and there shouldn't be anything that, I'm trying to think of why the space, maybe it's because he doesn't have a lot of space, or I don't understand that concept of like the small apartment equaling not being able to crate train. So if you can clarify that with me, but I think what I'm getting at is just that a crate is great for a small apartment. Sounds like you're doing a ton of work with him, food and prong training.
When you were at Box on the Hill, how big was that space?
Smaller than 400 square feet.
Yeah, and you had both dogs crated.
Probably 150 square feet.
No, a little bigger than that.
200 square feet.
But you had both dogs crated.
Yeah, both dogs are crated. Yep.
And they were happy as clams. They did all the rest of their life. They went walks and parks and adventures and all that and drives. But when they were home alone or sleeping, crate.
Oh yeah, I would never change that. So I would just say that get your dog in there. If you're already doing e-collar, if you're worried about like sound and noise and stuff like that, you can always correct for that stuff. You're already done the foundation with the e-collar, with the other stuff, with the walk. And also just like on a separate note, I think you're probably done training. You should be done training the walk. Now you're just walking your dog, because it sounds like you've done, prong and food training every morning on the walk. You should be good now. Your dog should be healing. If everything's been going correctly, your dog should be healing. You don't need to be on a training thing anymore. Definitely on, if you're training your dog, on the training with him, but you don't need to be actively training anymore. So just make sure that you're not, overtraining that stuff or getting too caught up in like perfection or doing stuff that isn't working. So if you're doing e-collar heel, typically we teach e-collar heel. I mean, we'll teach it, we'll get it started in the first day. Obviously it takes a couple days to get the dog to feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, be perfect.
But definitely by the end of a week, an e-collar heel is nice and easy with the dog, and all it's just on corrections, little taps for any sort of moving out of position.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye on that, and don't worry about your small space being any.
That's almost any impediment.
Yes.
That's almost. I'm here for you.
Nice.
That's almost always a guilt related thing.
Yeah.
I was just talking with a waiter in New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was telling me about his little dog and how it potties all over. And I said, "Do you have a crate tray?" And he's like, "No, I put it in the bathroom because I feel bad because I'm gone for 6 hours." And I'm like, "Do you realize that your dog's way more anxious and way more stressed out in your bathroom?"
Did you just give him the rundown?
Yeah. I was like, no, he was like desperate. He was like, she potties in the house constantly. I can take her right out, and then she potties in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I was like, your dog, it's counterintuitive. You as a human think more space, my dog will be more comfortable, more relaxed.
Yeah.
The reality is you leave, your dog becomes anxious, and then the more space you have, the more your dog has to roam and be nervous and practice anxiety. Yeah. The more limited the space, the more your dog chills, relaxes, gets quiet, typically will just go to sleep and relax and be in a totally better state of mind because they didn't just spend 6 hours freaking out about you being gone. It's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
It makes so many people feel guilty, which is why they give them the freedom, and then they get into destructive, nasty, barking, unfortunate behaviors. Or you can actually like kind of move out of the guilt thing and think in a very kind of like clear, practical sense. This is what's going to actually help my dog, not just because the dog trainer is saying be tough on your dog, but because it's easier on your dog. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Let
Hope that helps.
Michelle. All right. And we'll be seeing you, I think. I think she might be going to a T3.
Awesome.
Not confirmed yet, but possibly.
And maybe I'll be seeing my waiter at LPK soon.
What if he's watching?
He could be. I told him I gave him the website, so hopefully he's like, but the guilt was strong with him.
Just made me think of red beans and rice.
Well, he brought me a bowl of red beans and rice.
All right.
Specially made because I gave him great advice.
Okay.
Places come together though.
Definitely.
We had a big conundrum here because we went with gray. And Laura had to pick the colors when I was in New Orleans, which put all the heat.
The worst because he is Mr. like interior decorator. So it's like that's like if he didn't care, I'd be like, I can do this. I've got some skills. But he's like way more into it than I am.
I'm a little particular.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you'll be fine. I'm like, no, I won't be fine. You're gonna hate anything I do. So.
And what happened?
I knew you would hate it. So
no. What happened in like the first like couple coats in the bathroom?
Oh, I freaked out and I knew you'd hate it, so I took pictures because it looked blue.
Right? We asked for gray, and Laura was like, I think it's blue. Everybody was texting me. All the girls here were like, I think it's blue. We're freaking out, and the painter was freaking out. And the painter was like, I'll take it back. I'll repaint, and so I couldn't be here. And I think we figured out the problem was that the trim, which was
we also changed the color. We also got mixed the light one.
Right.
Yeah, the light one was more blue.
But we got away from the nicotine white.
Yes.
That was like all the trim. Yeah. Nicotine white means like a yellowed white, which is what I grew up with in the 70s with my double smoking folks. Oh. Anyways, I'm okay. And so the place will be like ready for viewing in just a couple days. It's looking smashing. If I do say so myself. Junior's got quite a bit of paint affixed to him.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's been brushing.
He's been helping out. He's been like doing some corners and stuff like that. Anyways, all right, the BS is strong with this one. Let's boogie.
Question number 5. This comes from Kate.
Yes.
Kate says, I'll be starting vet school this August.
Yes.
Oh, Kate, that's awesome.
You, Kate.
As a trainer, what can you suggest to keep my colleagues and I safe when dealing with fear-aggressive, nervous, insecure, or human-aggressive dogs? Any tips to keep everyone safe and make vet visits less stressful for dogs like this?
What was it? Fluoxetine?
Fluoxetine, yes.
Yes, for you and the dog.
Give a bunch of that.
Yeah, just hand it out like candy. Like just put it in pill pockets for everybody. Okay, so Kate, I wrote out a couple things for you just so I can make sure I hit them. And this is a really good question. We were just talking about this the other day because I think it was Shelby that went to Petco and was having some shots done.
Yeah, she was worried about taking Samson in for shots because
Samson's sensitive around people, and girl got right in his face and did a lot of like like literally like baby face talk, like
right to his muzzle on.
He's adorable. He's
Yeah.
adorable with a
Yeah.
muzzle on, and
She went to take off the muzzle or something. They were going to take it off. She went to take it off and got in his face to take it off.
yeah, because that's the best thing to do with adorable. If
With
you
a muzzle on.
if you kiss him just right, he might forgive you. Anyways, so we were talking about that, and of course we've seen, you know, a million different situations with our own dogs going into vets and having our own dogs being like, you know, whether it's vet techs or the vets themselves, treating our dogs in ways that actually move them in a direction we don't want.
Yeah.
So let me jump into this, right? So first of all, great question.
Yeah.
I wish every vet tech and every vet actually cared about this, because you could keep them so much more safe. A lot of it's counterintuitive. I also think there's a certain component of behavior that transpires because vets and vet techs want to make sure that owners feel like you love their dog. So there's a bit of like sales, there's a bit of marketing, there's a bit of like, you know, trying to make sure that we create this kind of like, we all love your dog, right? So here's the thing. Dangerous interactions for me include fast movement, baby talk, touching a nervous dog, being nervous or fearful yourself, high anxious energy coming from you, which like high anxious energy, like anything moving, like we talk about like this, just fast movement towards like I'll go back to the top. Fast movement with a dog like say Samson, who's a sweet, great guy, but he's a little nervous.
Yeah.
You move too quick, he doesn't have enough time to assess your intent, and he gets nervous about it. You create stress levels, you create the possibility of a bite. Think about it like that. Think about it like a math equation, right? Okay, then baby talk. Baby talk usually gets you kind of like in their face. Most people are like, oh, it's okay, Pookie. It creates higher energy, creates a nervous dog, because why are you talking to me like this? It doesn't create any kind of leadership context of like, I'm going to run the show, I'm going to help you move through this. It creates a dog that's like, now I'm worried about this human. Why? Because we all worry about when people try too hard.
Right.
Because you've got ulterior motives when you're trying that hard,
Something
right?
weird going on.
Right?
Yep.
Something weird. So, touching a nervous dog, don't touch a nervous dog. If you need the owner to handle the dog, or you need to get vet techs in and you guys got to muscle the dog up and do it, be careful. But don't just touch a nervous dog and be a hero. If you were working with a nervous dog or an insecure dog or a tense dog, trust your intuition.
Yep.
If the dog sends signals from like this, I'll give you a quick little demo. Don't touch, right? Don't touch. That's a dog who just went from I'm comfortable and relaxed to I'm anything but. Touch right then, good chance of getting bitten. So be really cautious about like trusting your intuition. I know you guys are on a timeline. I know you guys kind of have to move fast, but like there's nothing worse than getting bitten. There's nothing worse about, you know, somebody on your staff getting hurt. So you got to be super cautious about that.
Don't make them your friends.
Like honestly, the best thing to do with like a dog like Samson is like Laura said, ignore him, be calm, be chilled, be matter of fact, be like, cool, so we're gonna work on this. He's got a muzzle on, okay, cool. Obviously he's a dog that's not super comfortable.
Right.
Let's talk to the owner, because the owner is gonna know even more than you do. And the owner is gonna be like, here's what he's comfortable with, here's what he's not. Work through the program in a calm, matter of fact demeanor, and you'll watch a dog be way more stable, way more relaxed.
Like, I've never seen this at a vet, but how asking with a like on a sheet before they go in, like, does your dog have issues with people? Or like, maybe they do that at the very beginning, but I know they don't do that like checking in afterward.
No, they're pretty loose about it.
Yeah, just kind of like, I'm always like,
I'm surprised
are you okay?
more vets don't get bitten.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm blown away by. I wonder if it's just because they're so freaked out in the new place, and maybe they just don't
shut down a little bit.
Like, I'm blown
but remember,
away.
like Dr. Caldwell, who was like a really smart, good, savvy, and didn't like engage in a lot of stuff. Actually, got himself bitten pretty bad on the head, just by being a little careless with the dog and not.
And they told him he was like, is she cool? And they were like, yeah, she's totally fine, and she was not. So.
Yeah, but I once again think he didn't read his intuition.
No,
yeah. He bought into what the owner said.
Yeah.
So that's another. I think that's something I didn't even write down. But like, so for one, listening to what the owner says to get information, and then two, disregarding what the owner says, dependent upon what you see from the dog yourself, and honoring your own your intuition on that, right? Your own read. Okay. Let's see, placing your face anywhere near the business end of the dog, always dumb, always dumb. It's something, the first thing that I train, you know, with Laura or with anybody that worked here. Anytime you're working with a dog, there's a lot of ways you can interact with them with a slip lead or any kind of leash that gives you control of their head. And anytime you've got to move around, you keep your face at a certain distance.
If the leash drops, don't bend down right there and grab the leash right by their head. Move it out with your foot and grab the very end of it.
Take your time.
Take your time. Don't move fast. Yeah, all that stuff.
Always, like, there's nothing worse than a face bite. So, you know, we were just talking about Henri. She was doing food work with one of the dogs, and she's smaller, so it's harder for her because she has to get in closer. But I told her, like, don't come down like this. I want you to come down, and I want you to feed like this and keep your face up. Right? So face away from the business end of the dog. I know a lot of this stuff is rudimentary, simple stuff, but I watch vets screw it up all the time and put themselves in super danger. Okay.
15 seconds.
Yep. Always have a leash on to secure the dog, right? Always, always, always. Yeah. Don't let a roaming dog, it's like whenever we take a dog out that's like in any kind of a weird state, having a leash on gives us always a certain amount of control. Here's a little added tip. If you've got a really serious dog, I'll be quick. If you've got a really serious dog, have 2 vet techs or whoever's going to be working with the dog, 2 leashes on the dog, and you can secure the dog really well with 2 leashes, and that will allow you a ton of control while the vet works with the dog, and it's less stress than like tackling the dog or something like that. Let me just move through the last few. Have the client, this one I think is so cool, and I don't think hardly any vets do it, but have your clients muzzle condition your dog before your dog comes in. Like any dog, like if you mimicked what we do, any dog that comes in here with any issue, whether it's dog or human, has to be muzzle conditioned, pre-muzzle conditioned, and comfortable with it before they come in the door, which means that no one has to wrestle with the dog. The dog comes in on muzzle. The dog might be nervous, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. The main priority is that everybody's safe and the staff doesn't have to muzzle a dog they're not familiar with. Have the owner muzzle the dog, have the dog already be conditioned and accommodated or accustomed to it, and that's how you can really get a dog into a good space to where you guys can all be safe, and he's going to be much less stressed than if you stuff a muzzle on him for his first initial maiden voyage. And then the last stuff, use quiet, calm energy to create comfort and trust. And I can't stress that enough, right? This whole list is like all the stuff that we do when we interact. Like today, I did every one of these things because we're working with like dogs that are dodgy. So calm, relaxed, chilled out energy. How does it feel like if I'm talking to Laura and I'm like this and like, come on, oh, good, good, good. She's going to be like edgy, right? It's like that, right? Finger correction, right? So she's going to be like that. But if I'm like, hey, nice and easy, you put your leash on, da-da-da-da. But I mean, like that whole kind of, you change the energy in the room when you like the way you're going to deal and approach with an animal like that. So I would go through that checklist and I would try and bang it out and share with your client or share with your crew and staff. Like, you just do this and you guys will incur a hell of a lot less trouble, bites, injuries, trauma, and especially if you guys do pre-muzzle conditioning, because then everybody's safe before. It doesn't matter. If you muzzle condition, even if you blow a lot of the other things, you're still safe, right? Cool. So that's good for Kate. And now it's time for some giveaways. So, and I bet some people were worried because the last show, I think they might have thought that it was going to be coming out on the last show. I did a giveaway through Periscope And that was actually shot like a day or so after we shot Q&A Saturday last time.
Right.
So it didn't end up in the last show. So we didn't forget about you. We're not bamboozling you. I'm not lying. I'm not stringing you guys along. Here it comes. So we, Steven Pressfield, the author of War of Art, Do the Work, Turning Pro, 3 of my favorite books. 3 books that are guaranteed to help you get off your behind, search out and find the confidence and the habits and the integrity and the discipline to sit down and do the work you need to do to actually tune in, key in, and accomplish and achieve and realize like your true calling, your true dreams, and do the work and share that with the world. It's pretty nicely said, if I don't say so myself. So those books are really special to me. I love the way he writes. Short sentences, powerful, visceral. He's got a real like special knack. War of Art is a classic. It's been around forever. But I'm telling you, I just finished his latest one, Turning Pro, and it had such an impact. I'm on my 2nd read with it, and it's having such an impact on me. So I talked about that on Periscope and offered a giveaway for anybody who emailed me and told me a good story about why they wanted it. And typical me, I didn't just give 1 away. I was supposed to give 1 set away, but I'm gonna give a set of 3 away to each of these people.
Wow, it's all 3 to each?
Yeah.
Wow, you're the best.
So, but I love this. So this is my charity stuff, right, guys? So I figured out early how I like to do charity, and the way I like to do charity is by giving books and audio and things that I think can really impact and change people's lives. And so that what works for me, and I really enjoy it. And the responses I get back, that's why I ask for the stories, because I don't want to just send it to anybody. I want to send it to people that really care, that are going to do the work, that are going to read it, and if nothing else, pass it on to somebody else. So far, the responses that I've gotten, a lot of these people are repeat folks, and they're like, I read this that you sent me, I read this, and it's changing my life. And I'm like, cool, let's keep this awesome progress going. So real quick, the winners are, they can't see this, can they? No. Okay, great. Otherwise I'm going to like this. Okay, so we've got Candace Shelton, who is in, I don't even know if I can pronounce this, Sahuarita, Arizona. Sorry about the butchery there. So Candace, you'll be getting all 3 of those books.
Do they have to send you addresses?
I've got addresses.
Oh, wow, look at you. Okay.
Anybody, I asked for address. Most of them didn't send me addresses, even though I asked for them straight away. I had to send out 2nd emails. I was very frustrated with you guys. And then a couple of people didn't. One like special mention goes out to, I think, I want to say it's Inga. And Inga said she would love to read the books, but she's got the money to buy them. And she would rather them go to somebody else. So nice. So she's just the bomb badass. I've had a couple people write me that too about Prong DVD giveaways. They've been like, this is why I want your DVD, this is why I want to be part of the Prong DVD giveaway. Yeah. And then they give me their whole story, and then they're like, but by the way, I just ordered it, so send it to someone else if someone else comes up. I just love it. Nice. There's so much generosity in this community. Like, really cool. I'm so impressed with all you guys. And the more we can just kind of keep circulating this good stuff of like sending out books and information and positive stuff and help and just lifting everybody up, there is a movement happening and things are changing, and it's pretty damn exciting. So back to the folks. So we got Tina Benson. Tina Benson is in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. Tina, congratulations. You won all 3 as well. We love you. Everybody's going to get on to me eventually, and they're going to be like, as long as I submit my email, I'm going to win, because everybody wins. Guys. There were a few folks that didn't add addresses or I made decisions about. So not everybody. So we got Candace, we got Tina, we got Sandra Christensen, we've got Amanda Moran, who is in, I want to say, Marysville, Washington. Amanda, these are all greats. Great, right. And then, of course, we've got Lisa, we always like butcher it. Lisa Lowe in St. Paul, Minnesota. Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? One's a state, one's a city. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah. Minnesota.
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Right,
I know that.
we're a little lost. Okay, so Lisa Lowe, you can correct
Yay,
me.
guys.
Anyways,
Nice
so
work.
those will be going out. I haven't sent them out yet because I didn't want you to get them before the show, because I really want you to watch the show so you get the fun and the excitement. I'll probably send them out, say, Saturday or Sunday or Monday, something like that. So you have a little anticipation, a little wait. But I'm telling you guys, these books changed my life, and if you guys really want to get things cooking and make some great stuff happen, don't just freaking read these books, study these books, write in these books, dig into these books, dive into these books. There's a lot of really valuable information from somebody who's lived a really deep, wealthy, and I don't mean wealthy through money, but deep
Experience wealthy.
Yeah, just a really rich, that's what I'm looking for, a really rich, nuanced life, and done a lot of fantastic things, and I think you'll get a ton out of it. So that's what I have to say.
Bang.
Yeah.
Okay,
What
I
you
just
got?
have a quick one. This is for the prong collar DVD for a rescue group.
Yep.
I got an email that says, "Hey Sean and Laura, I was listening to your Q&A 85 while driving today, as I usually do. You talked at the end about giving a copy of your prong collar video to a rescue group, so I'm here to plead my case. I think I just started fostering when I brought my own dog Jack down to Los Angeles to meet Sean, but I'm now fostering my 13th dog for this NorCal bully breed rescue. We focus on the non-adoptable rescue only from local shelters, most of them medical cases, but a lot are aggressive as well. We have a team that make weekly visits to our shelters to evaluate these dogs and find most of them are just stressed from being in a shelter environment. For those that have bigger issues, we do a board and train with a local trainer. I use the techniques that I've learned from Sean with all my fosters, and I try to share that knowledge with my group the best I can, but I think it would be great to give this information a better format. Most of our fosters are not experienced with training and often struggle. I think it's our responsibility to send fosters out with good foundations, setting them up for success, and know that with the right tools, it doesn't have to be a struggle. We've rescued somewhere near 200 plus dogs in 2015, and that's a lot of training. With your video, I hope to share this knowledge and show people that great strides can be made with balanced training. Thanks for your consideration." This is Daphne Rubenstein. You got it, Daphne. We hope to also see you at the e-collar workshop in August if you can end up making that work.
Is she trying to make it?
She's trying to make that work.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
But Daphne, after you see this, make sure you send me your address, because you absolutely deserve that, and we'd love to see any before and after video or fun stuff that you have going on with your dogs that you work with the DVD.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
We had such a great time.
Yes.
It's a great episode. Thank you so much for all
Energy
your
feels good. I
questions.
feel like we're in a good
Maybe
groove.
because you didn't have 6 shots of espresso that took you over the edge.
They should make me feel like...
That should put you to sleep after a while.
No. I feel great. I feel good. It might have been the Terran chair. It might have been the mochis. Hard to say. Or it might just be the paint fumes.
Could be.
Anyways, we love you guys. Thanks for watching. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you. We'll see you next week with more good stuff and a little BS.
Bye.